Welcome, everybody, to Mudflood was Armageddon. Mudflood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they are willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Well, season's greetings to you too, Zach. Whatever you mean by that. Is this a new season? Is this summer? That's like can't be. I know it's the start of a new month tomorrow, which is crazy. So I want to go in with the Sub-Liminal studies affecting mudflood world, and that's a lot. That's a mouthful. But have we not been deceived? That's what I'm going to want to focus on here. I'm going to start with these pictures I've done some screenshots of today. Look at this, the Popol Vuh, creation of humans. And here is the beginning of the conception of humans and of the search for the elements of the human body. So they spoke to the bear begetter, the makers, modelers, named sovereign plumed serpent. Is that really what it was? Let's look at the bottom here. The story of the divine world order and its pantheon has at this point been fully narrated. The Mayan theogony, history of the birth of the world and its gods, thus precedes in principle the Mayan anthropogeny, history of humans. So they have, they have a multiple creation thing. And the big takeaway is that this is not that old. See, modernity, as far as this book is concerned, around 600 BCE until the present. Okay, because this Popol Vuh, the Popol the spaceman with their karmatic apocalypse, compare the flood myth in Genesis, Enuma Elish, and Anthracis. Well, they all have it. It doesn't mean that they were right. Now, look, they have animals, and then the next were made out of mud, then wood, and then finally it says we humans were made out of corn. Highly symbolic to them. Okay, it has to be. But there's the thumbnail, and this is I'm not saying he's in a spaceship. No, that's what the ancient aliens would have you believe. But the dealio is this man is part of history. And this, the whole Popol Vuh Mayan thing, he's real. We're going to get into the corn, the secret history of corn, and its jumping genes. And they need that extra 1,000 years so they can say the Native Americans accidentally developed corn. So we can look at that as a genetically engineered food this is from 2020, and they're finally admitting, something's wrong with the American food and the corn in particular. Just a picture I got of the Popol Vuh blown up. Notice spaceships aren't asymmetrical. Notice this hook. Well, it's not here. This is two parts of the brain, and this man, this was 400 years ago. We've got to have, and we're going to look at the subliminal advertisements of an imp. The house of, not the Habsburgs, but the Hohenzollern. They had a whole, and this is that Illuminati black and white thing. And this was the Roman Catholic side of the Hohenzollern. Very important thing. Now, that Paco the Spaceman. I was looking for the corn tie-in, but I guess it's time to get out the typer and type in Paco the Spaceman. We'll get his. There we go again. So it's this guy. This is what I was trying to show you. So he is the Paco. Fifth longest verified period of any sovereign monarch. It's not like they didn't know this guy. Well, here he is. This is 400 years ago. They were burying people with jade masks. He wasn't confused, like thinking aliens were coming from an. This is one of those mysterious things that it just disappeared around 450 years ago, maybe less. And it has to be taken into consideration that it could be this was part of the reaping, and that they knew that he was looking in, that this is also a depiction of your brain with the ventricles that lead you up to a higher, you're trying to see different heavens. You're not trying to fly there with your Anunnaki. So this is a real person, In 611, okay, that can be considered 1611. They know they got it all the way down that, when he was born, March 603. Sure. Okay. Well, but let me show my, little disclaimer here. Fair use disclaimer. We'll be looking at some videos. We're not looking for any trouble from this world, and they're goats. We have to look at it is that there's a lot of goats out there that.
Corn. And here the Mayans present a myth of the origin of corn in a specific geographical location, Split Place or Bitter Water Place is its name. Fox, coyote, parrot, crow bring news of the discovery of yellow and white corn. It is interesting that here the animals, who are a failed attempt, sort of make good with the gods by proving useful to them in the creation of humans. In any case, the grandmother Shmukane grinds the corn and provides the grease, and 4 human beings are created. The gods were so happy with the creation this time that provisions came out over the mountains, sweet things thick with yellow corn and white, taxte and cacao, countless sapotes, anonias, yacotes, nances, mantesanos, sweets, rich food filling up the citadel named Broken Place, Bitter Water Place. Having created the first human being.
Wow, almost like wormwood. So I want to move on and cover these tabs getting ready there. So again, they faked that 1,000 years. The Julian calendar, 1666, that was a big deal. They didn't only add 11 days. It's a mystery. But how long does it take for these temples to be destroyed? Well, how long does it take for those trees to grow out of them and destroy them? Look at Angkor Wat. You only get your ruins destroyed one time. So we'll have to come back and look at the corn. But this myth that, what do they got here? 26 different strains of corn. And it was all done by Native Americans and Teosinte. And just because they decided they'd keep working on that and interbreeding it came from something that would break your teeth into corn that was the perfect thing to genetically modify. Critics of genetically modified foods often say that the US population is being used as guinea pigs. You know, that's not me. I'm not a doctor. I didn't say that, but that's a food critics say that. Canadian government announced in 2002 that they would, open quote, keep a careful eye on the health of the Canadians. I wonder if they did a good job at that. I'm moving right on. I looked for, okay, we looked for that. We've got some pictures of it. Very interesting. Paco, but Paco, you got to move on. Okay, what in the world? I'm going to be looking at some pictures like this, I guess. I guess they have it all figured out. This is an imp. And this is how they found some papers, white and creamy. Can't read over here. The middle finger. Oh, I don't see this. But so this is probably one of those PG ones. Let's look up that. Oh, got it again. So we'll come back. There's the Bible study from last night. That was good. Propitiation, adoption. They got some problems with their string theory. And they were, you know, when they're talking about does beauty deceive physics, they think the more you can reduce an equation, some of them say a beautiful mathematical equation, you know, because they have a whole version of what's beautiful and what's ugly. And I guess white, purity.
And there was the solution: symmetry, supersymmetry, the symmetry of particles canceling against their super partners. And of course, we don't have any experimental data concerning this yet. That's an embarrassment. But in my heart of hearts, I think one day we'll find it. So supersymmetry, so that superparticles cancel against each other. Such a simple idea that has the power to do something that the greatest minds could not do. Many people had given up trying to quantize gravity, because every time you quantize gravity, it blew up in your face. And there was the solution: symmetry, supersymmetry, the symmetry of particles canceling against their super partners. And of course, we don't have any experimental data concerning this yet.
But it's such a beautiful mathematical equation. He fell in love with it. He talks about one time, I think it made him cry.
That's an embarrassment. But in my heart of hearts, I think one day we'll find it. So theory is going to lead experiment. That nature is telling us something, that all the divergences of quantum gravity are there for a reason, pointing to the direction of supersymmetry, which to our knowledge is the only way to cancel the horrible infinities in quantum gravity.
Sabina Hossenfeld.
They're just having fun, right? Just having a little fun.
Can God be so malicious to create the Schrodinger wave equation? And then one day I picked up a book and there was...
That's not short angel equation. He's talking about the Schrodinger equation, something we've mocked on this show frequently, that to accept quantum physics and string theory, you have to believe in Schrodinger's theory that a cat can be dead and alive at the same time, and his beautiful mathematical theory that proves it. No, wait, it's ugly. So he didn't like it. It makes him cry.
Was the Dirac equation. Simple, elegant, gorgeous, beautiful. All the difficulties summarized into an equation half an inch long, the theory of the electron. And I began to cry. Okay?
I think he's lying. No, where's that one website?
Previous candidates dropped out in disgust within the first 3 days. Since there is no refund, we try to stress that certain squeamish types of people aren't suited for the psychological demands of this fast-paced, secretive business. Our main goal is to produce artists and idea personnel dedicated and obedient to the advertising necessities involved in regulating America's production consumption cycle. Man lives in an environment of symbols, and it's extremely important to understand something about the symbol making process because symbols are the raw material of human thought and all communication. Superficially, we think that words are the only form of communication because we live in such a highly verbal atmosphere. Yet in actuality,
We live in a highly verbal atmosphere here. So what this is taken from is this website I stumbled upon last night. All right, let's go back to the top of it. Okay, that's your rock and roll music. What do they got here? Benson and Hedges. Oh, what's he gripping in his hand? Okay, so this is what they say. Has it been going on a while? Yeah, this looks like a pretty old, laid by the DJ's flooring. Huh. I guess your subconscious can see things upside down that I don't get it. But anyway, so here's one I do get. This seems obviously they're poking fun at theirself or something, if that's even real. You know, but I read this book. This is something from Dr. Brian Wilson Keyes, I believe was his name, back in the 70s. Subliminal advertising. So, of course, they deny it, and they're just like, no way. Everybody's just seeing it because we all have dirty minds. One ring to rule them all. That seems pretty obvious. Pepsi, they did that, and he said, stop doing that. They told him, why are you doing that? But the 80s and the 90s, we all heard about it. All right, so it starts out saying, in this banner, taken from Subway Restaurant's official website, you can see the stream ascending from the sand, which spells sex. Okay. But we are convinced there is no subliminal advertising in America today, said Charles F. Adams, speaking for the American Association of Advertisement Agencies in 1981. Isn't that so? Well, see for yourself. The following excerpts are taken from a leaked top secret training manual belonging to one of the largest advertising agencies on the planet. It says, this course itself is an adventure into mental frontiers that challenge even the most stalwart individual. You'll learn the hows and whys of taboo imagery, group motivation, theories based on collective animus symbolism, how to slow thought waves and enter the alpha, theta, delta levels of the mind, the emotional meaning of colors, and skipping to the second paragraph, initiation into the psychological concepts and manipulation and stratagems of the art course often comes as a shock to those naive individuals. The computer mispicked 30%, 36% of all previous candidates drop out in disgust within the first 3 days. It was a very important picture. Every man should have an imp he can call his own. The satar on the woman's collar or choker further enhances the subconscious sexual theme of the ad. A satar is an age-old symbol for man's baser instincts, his primitive, lustful, I think, dark side. This satar identifies its wearer as being associated with instinctive eroticism. The choker around her neck is a virtual indication of her submissiveness to the eroticism of the satar. Okay. The symbol in the ice cubes may seem invisible, but hypnotic research says 95% pick it up. These are the lost things. You know, I looked into this and it's hard, you know, now that I can't believe I didn't buy into it harder, but in my opinion, it says this blonde woman has evident masculine traits. Look at her nose, for example. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a man in drag. Playboy use men in drag all the time. Music videos feature men in drag. Okay. That's their story and they're going to stick to it. So this goes back to the 70s and when people were doing it, but we saw that one ad that looked older than the 70s. Okay. Van Gogh vodka box. Start with the pomegranate bottle. You can see a zigzag forming the letter S. Let's see. Maybe. Okay. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms website, it contained it in there. So, okay. This can't be real. MILF is an acronym describing a sexually attractive middle-aged woman. First of all, look at the model. She's relatively not that young and fits perfectly. So many islands, low fares. So is this the island for $9? Diving depth. What's with that one? The wheat donut. This one says ICUNT because I guess if the O is tipped, it doesn't count. So there's something going on. You know, I've studied how they study us, that we're rats in a cage to them. They can predict us, they think. And it's certainly, that does look like a skull. What's Cher doing? You know, they made something out of Cher. Let's keep her divorced. I think that this looks like a pancreas and a stomach to me. The heart of stone is shaped, you know, the gut microbiome. Oh, wow. So we're not shocked at anything they do with Disney, are we? You're supposed to click on these to see the hidden messages, or, oh, he's got a skull on his pocket there. Okay. I guess the skull symbolism is something they really have gone in for a long time. What's this? A beer ad that used wood chips for the idea that beer has a smoked flavor. It says sex in there somewhere. Yeah, yeah. I thought I saw that S right there, but it's not like they make it. Here's another Heineken. I wonder, what are they selling? You got to click on it. Oh, it's a butt. If you turn it upside down, it's supposed to look like a butt. Boy Scouts, the hike is over. Have a Pepsi. Supposed to click on that? Oh, it says, you know, maybe. I guess if you're subconscious, but you know, we're not the ones that, anyway, they think it works. Huh. Okay, that's just weird. Who cares if they're hiding the word sex in there somewhere? I mean, that isn't that weird enough? Even Cabela's, the sporting goods, they get in on it. Clash of the Titans gets in on it. George Bush Jr. got in on it. Scooping ice cream, every little thing, I guess, the world. But the goats, they'll never listen. They'll think that you're pareidolia. You just seeing things, man. They're a happy couple. Where does it say sex at? Oh, right there. I missed it. Right there. There it is. You got to look for it. Okay. Whoa. Well, I guess you'd take the knees and move it up. That's what it looks like. If you take her knees and move it up to where the butter is, same thing here, I guess. So we saw that one in the first video. Okay. That one, do we really need to click on this one? Oh, there's 3 women in it? Oh, there's another one down there. Okay. I totally didn't see that one coming. All right. Not hard to believe there's hidden messages in this. Whoa. All right. All right. There's the camel. Supposed to look like a penis and something hiding in here. See, I don't see it. Doesn't mean it's not there. Can't satisfy us like a good smoke should. I remember when they used to have the cigarette commercials on. Living dangerous. Okay, now I can't believe that would ever fly in the United States. That's probably why it's in French or something down there. That wouldn't work in the United States. So there's something going on with that.
Dia personnel dedicated and obedient to an environment of. But that's not completely accurate because Freud said the id is the true self. If the id was not kept in balance by the ego, the id would run wild. The person would devolve into an animal, living only to satisfy violent and sexual.
Well, I think they've got their goal. It always goes back to Bernays and these people.
Edward Bernays and Walter Lippmann. This new powerful propaganda would harness man's animal drives into productive causes such as going to war and immeasurable profits. The final component of this all-powerful weapon was the actual communication. The artist had been contemplating uses of dream symbolism.
Hey, look. It's the president of the United States. He-Man aroma. Wows the ladies. But nowadays, that's shocking and offensive. What is a real lady?
Jabbing with cigarettes?
What? What?
Devilish characters?
Devilish characters.
Embedded devils and horror faces?
Oh my goodness. What?
Reuters news service must have noticed the word behind the poster.
Okay. So with that in mind, I mean, we got the corn, we got them crying out, we have the Bible that there is going to be a time after, Satan was thrown into a pit, the beast and the false prophet, they were thrown into a lake of fire. And we're in a whole new time now. And Lord willing, you're going to be able to see that the stones are crying out. I've got some new stones and I want to take some pictures of them. And They send messages in their pictures. We've seen that for years, that they have codes. They had ways of hidden messages in going back to art a long time ago with perspective. If you look at it the right angle, it turns into a skull. They know your brain. They've got us eating a diet where we are not firing on all of our cylinders. And as Christians, if we hear his voice, something the goats will never hear, you're never going to be able to talk the vast majority of people into, hey, we're right, we should love and fear God because our home is in an eternal spiritual state, not here. They're not going to believe you. They're goats, not sheep. So how did the stones cry out? Lord willing, we'll have some good pictures and some good theories tonight. I'm looking for that's the obvious, for people to understand the obvious of why they do it. They want us to think you're going to do it anyway, so you might as well go for it. This is a life where we need to understand for our own good. We're being divided from the world, sometimes even our own families, because we have a people we're going to be spending eternity with that we've been adopted into a new family, and that is our honor. The flat earth nation, the golden age is past because of Mudflood, because it was Armageddon. Me and my friends will never tell you anything else. Why would we? We're trying to prove and show that we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen.